When it comes to buying a diesel truck, there's so much to look out for. From potential catastrophic engine failure to being 1,000 miles over an oil change. It's safe to say buying a diesel truck is very overwhelming. But what advice do the professionals have to give about it? Well, that's what we're going to be asking this diesel repair shop CEO in Bryan, Texas. What should you look out for when buying a diesel truck? Today we're inside of Asher Automotive and we're going to be doing another kind of interview style. I try to do one of these interview styles every month just so that way I can educate you guys on what to kind of look for when you're either buying a diesel or if you daily drive a diesel. One of my most popular videos is what is the most unreliable diesel, and a lot of you guys asked that you guys are looking for diesel trucks to buy. You guys didn't know what to look for when you're buying one. So this is Paul, the manager here at Asher Automotive, and this is Bryan, the actual owner of Asher Automotive, and today they're going to be answering a question of what you should look for when you buy a diesel truck. So Paul, Bryan, what should you look for when you buy a diesel truck?
I guess it depends on what you're wanting the vehicle for. You know, are you going to be towing a lot of things? Are you going to be using it as a daily driver? Using it on a farm somewhere? Basically, what's your usage going to be?
For somebody who is looking for the ability to tow like a house, so somebody wants to tow absolutely massive loads, and that's what majority of people buy a diesel anyways. What do you guys recommend for somebody who's looking strictly for towing, putting a heavy load behind them?
The main thing is if you're doing heavy loads, you don't want to start off with a 250 or whatever. You want to get, 350, 450, something that can handle the weight, and then just make sure the gearing is...
What's the difference between like a 250 and a 350?
Is what it'll haul. The spring, the loads,
gotcha,
yeah.
Okay.
And then some 350s are dualies.
Yeah.
You won't see a 250 dually, but yeah.
So you recommend a 350 dually if you're looking at
towing heavy stuff for sure.
Yeah.
If you've ever had something heavy hauling and got this wobble,
yeah,
kind of be glad you'd be in a dually.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if you're towing a house, though, you probably need to go a little more than a 1 ton. Though.
Yeah. I was just saying, for somebody who wants to tow heavy loads, what should they get?
I think he's right. I mean, it's all about gearing ratio and spring rate and things like that will affect the ride. Make sure you're smart with what you're going to be pulling every day or every week or whatever, and buy something that will handle that and hold up to it.
Can somebody get away with the 250 if they wanted to tow?
They can. I mean, the power is usually there, but it just depends on how much weight. If you're overweighting the truck, then you're going to have a problem doing that.
I guess it depends on how much they're using it. If you're using it every once in a while, you can probably get away with it, but if you're having to do it on a daily or a weekly or...
If you have a hot shot business, you don't want to get a smaller truck.
No, definitely
exactly.
not. So
for somebody who just wants to daily drive this diesel truck like myself, what should they look out for?
To daily drive your diesel truck?
Yeah, to daily drive it.
My opinion on if you're going to daily drive it, I think you should just probably get a gas because it's cheaper, but...
Yeah, but like for somebody who is looking to daily drive a diesel, I would say the same thing in my opinion, just because a diesel truck is so expensive, and if you don't have a massive savings, don't buy a diesel. But I'm saying, like, for the people who do, have a bigger budget and want to spend the money on a diesel truck to just daily drive it, what do you think they should go for?
as far as what they should go for, again, what are you using it for? But if you're going to do one, just make sure you're prepared for the amount of money that you're going to have to spend in order to maintain this vehicle to daily drive it.
How much do you think it costs, like, for the average diesel owner to run it every month?
I'm going to say probably at least $1,000 a month, and that includes your diesel, and depends on how many miles you drive it and things like that. But
lots of variables.
Just to throw a number out there, I would say probably plan on $1,000 a month to keep that thing on the road.
That's about what I spend right now on both my trucks.
I will say, if you're going to go and buy a diesel truck that's not new on the lot, I would be cautioned to bring it to our shop, or somebody who has a scanner. On diesels, a lot of them sit there and idle a long time. It might not have very many miles on it, but it might have a ton of hours on it.
Yeah. So when you guys do a scan here, like, what is a lot of hours, I guess you could say? Like, what should somebody look out for, be alarmed with on the amount of hours?
If you're looking at the miles, if it has 20,000 miles and it has 2,000 hours, you want to make sure they match up kind of thing.
Okay, gotcha.
Your best bet if you're going to buy a used one anyway is get something that you can, like a monitoring system, where you can monitor more than what the truck tells you. You can, like you're doing your tunes that you're doing on your truck.
Yeah.
Those type of programs monitor other things in the truck that you may not be able to see on the instrument cluster.
To that, like a good thing, if you're hot dogging your truck around, you want to be watching your EGTs and stuff like that. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like my EasyLink tuner, I can monitor everything on there, like my coolant temp, injection pressure, filter and all that kind of stuff. Is that something that you're saying?
Well, you want to make sure like your fluid temperatures, like let's say your coolant temps and your oil temps.
What should those average run, like oil and coolant specifically, what should those run at for 210?
Yeah, 210-ish. But what you want to look for is temperature, yes, but all of those fluids should be running within a certain degree of each other. You know, normally it's 10 to 15 degrees for your coolant and your engine oil.
Like on your 6.0 diesel, that oil cooler that's in there, that's where oil goes through here and coolant goes this way. Yep. And that oil cooler gets clogged up, you get extreme heat buildup, and it'll actually it'll shut the truck down and put it in limp mode because the temperatures aren't correlating.
Yeah, but a monitoring system will alert you a lot quicker. If you don't have one of those, what's going to alert you is when your truck starts overheating. And what it'll do is it'll overheat at times and other times it won't in the beginning. And then if you keep driving on it, you know, of course it can lead to much more major repairs than just an EGR or an EGR cooler.
Let's say like somebody like myself who was looking at buying an older diesel and I bought in two. If somebody's going to buy a new diesel truck, like they find it on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, what is like some of the things when they pop the hood, what should they check like right away?
I mean, always the fluids, look at the oil. Unfortunately, diesel, you can run it for a little bit and it's going to be black, but maybe ask for some service record history. I preach this every time. Servicing the vehicle is definitely the most important thing to do.
So you're saying Carfax at the end of the day.
And I mean, some people don't, I guess, run their stuff to a dealer. They do it in their driveway. So have some records that you trust somewhere, you know. But look at all your fluids, listen for leaks.
Be careful of trucks that look too clean. And when I say that, certain other things will look kind of dirty and out of place, and then other things look really clean. It could be that they just dressed it up in order to sell it.
Like some sort of spray painting the underside to cover up rust.
Even if it's got like
fresh paint all over everything, then watch out.
You know, even if it's got a new air filter in it, that doesn't mean that they change it every time that they're supposed to. Okay, just be on the lookout for things that don't fit. You know, that don't look quite right with the rest of the truck, you know, that kind of thing. That's really what you're looking for.
What fluids, like specifically, should somebody check?
So one trick that I've always done is on an older truck, look at the power steering and brake fluids. Most people don't replace those. They might replace the coolant, and they might do a transmission service, and they might do the oil change, okay? But a lot of people forget those other two fluids in there. They'll give you a real good indicator of really if they're staying on top of their maintenance.
Usually if you can tell those have been taken care of, then the rest of it's pretty, they usually take care of the rest of it too.
So when I looked out for my 6.0, I knew right away when I went under the truck and I grabbed the tie rod, the thing that goes all the way through. When I grabbed it and moved it, it wiggled. So I knew right away that I was going to have death wobble, and sure enough, it had death wobble. What should people go under the truck for and look for so that way the steering components are as well maintained?
If they can't take it to a shop, I would make sure that the other person who's there at least shake the wheel back and forth and lay there and just, you can actually put your hand on every joint and just make sure there's no wiggling and wobbling, you know.
But I would never recommend buying a used car, truck, anything without a test drive, if it's safe to do so.
Gotcha.
So if you would have test drove that truck, which I'm sure you did, you probably would have noticed it right away. Especially if you had that much play in a track bar, you would have noticed it right away. So tires are a big thing. Check the tires. Tell by the tire wear if they've kept them properly inflated, if the front end's been worn out, if they've kept it aligned, if they've been beating the crap out of it. Check your tires.
Somebody that is mechanically inclined would have a scanner, like another thing that's on your truck, cranking the truck up the very first time. Go in there and watch the pressure. Make sure it hits 500 psi quick. It's not sitting there trying to build up because it have a small little leak somewhere. I'm talking about the 6.0 diesel in this case, but there's little things. There's, you know, if you have a scanner, there's a lot more things to go in depth to checking. But on the surface, you just kind of gotta use your best judgment.
That's a good tip. You know, take one of those small handheld little scanners.
Well, that can only tell you codes. If you actually have a scanner, you can go in and look at data and see. That's why I'm talking about. You know, you can tell the health of that 6.0 by when you're cranking it up, how quick that it goes up there. You know, when it's already warm.
How quick it builds all up.
If it's sitting there kind of slow, which you can kind of tell by how long the crank is, but it's just little things to look at.
Like for something like that, it's either high pressure oil pump or some sort of leak or O-ring just not on there. So
or just see if seller will allow you to take it to your mechanic and have it looked at. We offer pre-purchase inspections here.
If they won't do it, always be leery. If you ask and they won't, always be leery of that.
It'll cost you, you know, some money to get that done, but it could save you thousands thousands in the back end.
A lot of people looking for a diesel truck, I want to know exactly what you guys recommend you should and shouldn't buy when it comes to the exact liter of engine and stuff like that you guys see in the shop a lot, or you guys would recommend somebody buy.
I'd probably stay away from the 6.4 just because they weren't that good and weren't built that long. Parts are even really hard to find now. It's probably something I'd stay away from.
Anything eco diesel.
So like 3 liter Dodges.
That's just a disaster in the waiting.
Gotcha.
So, but he's right. I mean, the 6.4 probably has the worst reputation out there.
Yeah.
I would say, unfortunately, your 6.0 probably falls in there a close second with that thing.
I like the 6.0. If you fix it right, it's good.
Correct. If you get them worked out, get all their little bugs and things
So what about, I didn't mean to cut you off, but what like the 6.7 is the main one that most people are looking to buy new. What year are like known for failures? Because I know between 2011 and 2014 they're like have issues, and what year should they actually buy?
If you're gonna do a 6.7, I'd probably definitely start at the 15, and I think they went 7.3 started in 20 or 21, where they went back to the 7.3, the new 7.3.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say anywhere in between the 15 and the 20. It's like anything else, the first few years of something that comes out, they've usually got some problems with them. It takes them a few years of engineering to work out some of the bugs and make some corrections on some of the things that they
Being we're not the dealer, we don't see the new problems. We see the ones that are 2-3 years back when they're out of warranty, so we have more knowledge on those anyways.
What do you kind of see problems with? Because I know a lot of my buddies that have between 2011 and 2014s all have problems with them. What are some of the most common things that you see with those earlier model 6.7?
DEF issues and fuel system issues.
The CP4?
Yeah, and like his favorite thing, suspension issues. Those things,
Everybody I heard, the death wobble is so prominent on the 2012s. Like, I don't know what it is. Everybody I've talked to, like, oh, I've already fixed the death wobble on it.
Again, we've gone over this before. Death wobbles. It's going to be track bars. It's going to be tie rods. It's going to be steering stabilizer shocks. And to be honest with you, they really haven't corrected or fixed all of those things, even in the newer ones, but they are better.
So for the newer 6.7s, when people want to buy those are for the people with like huge budgets. Well, some of them don't really have the biggest of budgets. What do you recommend, like older diesel wise? I know you guys said 6.4 to kind of stay away from. 6.0s are right here, but 7.3 wise, should they go OBS 7.3 or a newer body style 7.3 when it comes to that? And then also what year?
I like an 02 model. I think that's I had to give an 8-year model for the 7.3. I'd say that, and the turbo was bigger, made a little more power.
I would agree with that. Again, it's like I said, the older ones, they worked through their problems. By the time they got to 02, they started changing up a few things on them, make them a little more reliable and things like that. The 7.3's already been a very reliable engine anyway. Why Ford went away from the 7.3, I'll never understand.
Emissions, I'm pretty sure.
Probably so, but they made a huge mistake when they switched from the 7.3 anyway.
They wanted to make more power, I guess you could say. Which it's night and day difference. Since I've owned pretty much every Powerstroke, I know that like for my 6.7, just driving it around out of the factory, I was like, oh my god, this is 2 times faster than my 7.3 is. So you guys are saying is if you are going to be purchasing some sort of engine, the 7.3 or the 15 to 20 model 6.7 is probably where you want to be at. What about for Duramax and Cummins?
We don't see as many Duramaxes in here, so I probably don't have the best. We see a bunch of electrical problems on them, but other than that, I don't see as many as the Fords and Dodge. They all break, but I don't have a problem with the Dodge. I think they're pretty solid as well.
Do you like the 5.9 better or the 6.7?
Everybody wants power. The 6.7 is going to make more.
6.7.
6.7. The Cummins engine has always been known for its strength and reliability. I guess the only problem that Cummins has is that it's in a truck that'll tend to fall apart around it. So honestly, that's what it is. Dodge has always been known for having a decent looking truck.
The motor will be doing good, but you might have the bungee cord holding the door on.
But the interior and everything else is just going to fall apart around it. So again, the Duramax, they're known for their electrical issues. I mean, any YouTube channel you see out there is going to talk about the Duramax and their electronic issues that they have. So
you recommend on Cummins go with more of like a newer 6.7 Cummins?
Yes.
And then for Duramax, like a newer 6.6, what do you guys think there?
No, I'd probably go with an older one, to be honest with you.
Like how old? Some of the older ones were having some problems.
Well, I'm not going to go too old. Maybe 12, 13, maybe.
You gotcha. So between 2012 and 2013, that's kind of where the sweet spot?
The few that we've seen, like I said, we don't see a whole lot of the brand new ones. The ones we have seen that have been, say, 18 and up Duramax, ton of electrical issues with them. And mostly in their fuel systems and DEF systems.
Yeah, long video. Thank you guys for doing the interview. If you guys want to bring your truck into Asher Automotive, you guys can, and I'll leave all their details in the description down below.